I'm Frank Isola. Honestly, anyone but Lebertard.
That's called good judgment.
Loyalty. I'm loyal for you. And Tony. And Izzy.
Tell Uncle Danny hello from me when you talk to him again, Frank. Welcome to PTI. Kornheiser's ducking work again. So I'm happy to be joined by a man who's doing double duty today. Yeah. Our great friend, Frank Isola.
Please don't get sick of me.
Yeah. You don't get cheers like that on the Lebertard set. We began with the PGA Championship and runner-up Tiger Woods instead of the winner, strapping young Mr. Koepka. Why? Because Tiger's fabulous performance, not Koepka's, sent ratings soaring by nearly, get this, 70%. Because Tiger's galleries at Belle Reve in St. Louis were bigger and louder than everybody else's combined. Because Tiger's 130 over the weekend is the best Saturday-Sunday score in PGA Championship history. And because once again, Tiger lifted the entire sport with his theater. Frank, if you're Brooks Koepka, are you resentful of having to share the marquee with this old dude?
Believe it or not, I know the feeling sometimes when I'm on this exact show. I don't know if resentful is the right way to put it, because golf needs Tiger Woods. And look at the way the crowd responded to Tiger Woods yesterday. Look at the ratings and the broadcasters. They were going crazy. When he's in the bunker on the 18th hole, they're still trying to figure out a way that he could win the tournament. But if I'm Tiger Woods, what I take away from this, and I know everyone is calling it a win for him, but for Tiger Woods, finishing second is not a win. He had the lead in the British Open. So he felt like he could win there. And maybe he thought in the back of his mind, was it a fluke? The way he performed this weekend, especially Saturday and Sunday, I think he believes, you know what? I still could get maybe one more major, maybe two more.
Frank, I completely agree with all of that. Look, I'm one of those hardcore old school people that believes in no moral victories. You come close, you didn't win. Even if you didn't lose, you didn't win. And Tiger feels that way. I'm completely in agreement with you, except there's this one thing that was different than any other Tiger finish not first. When he gave it that roundhouse fist pump after birdieing 18, Frank, when he made that putt, he felt different. He talked about not having a swing, not being able to do anything but putt when he came back, not knowing what he could do for his body to hold up. I mean, we're all looking forward now. Forget the Ryder Cup, and I shouldn't say that. We're all looking forward to the Masters, right? But he lifts the sport in a way no one else has, maybe since a young Arnold Palmer. So everybody in our lifetime, it's Tiger Woods. He's got to share the marquee. Koepka seemed fine with it. He did.
Yeah. Well, he also struggled, hitting the ball off the tee. And I think on 17, on that shot that almost went into the creek, you saw his reaction there. I think he had a feeling that that's probably where he wasn't going to come back and win. But he was terrific, really, all weekend. All right, while Tiger was the people's champion on Sunday, Brooks Koepka was the actual champion. Again, the 28-year-old has now won 3 of the last 7 majors and is just the 5th player to win both the PGA Championship and the U.S. Open in the same season. So, Michael, is Brooks Koepka golf's next big superstar?
Well, Frank, I think he's already inched in that territory. And to me, he's just inched in by elbowing out the likes of Rory and Jordan Spieth and Jason Day and all those guys who had won early. He's past them. And by elbow, I mean he can take a bicep and just nudge them, and it'd be about a 40-foot dislodge.
Exactly.
But let me say this. He's the face of golf in this way. Tiger was bigger and stronger and more athletic than everybody who came before him, and he showed it on the golf course. That's what Koepka's doing now. And I know DJ's in a company with him, but Koepka with this third one. The thing he's got to do now to be the next superstar, he's got to win with expectations. He won the second U.S. Open with no expectations. People weren't talking about him. They came into that talking about DJ. And now he's won this one. He's spectacular. But can he win with the weight of expectation? That determines whether you're a superstar or not.
And you're talking about the weight. You're saying that he's the face of golf? He's the muscle of golf.
Yes,
he's an absolute monster, especially off the tee. Here's what I like. Yesterday on 15, Tiger Woods birdies in a shot. He's now 1 off the lead. And it was time for Koepka to get to the 15th tee. He hits the ball 334 yards. That's where he won this tournament.
Absolutely.
His ability to drive and keep it straight and long, kind of like Tiger Woods used to do way back when. He's won 3 of the last 6 majors he's entered. To me, this is the next big star. I love the way that he handled the pressure. First of all, he's playing with Adam Scott, who was in contention. So that's his playing partner on Sunday. And then 2 groups ahead of him is Tiger. And
he
every
could
time
hear those roars.
Tiger is making a shot, the crowd's going nuts. So he was feeling pressure, and he was cool as a cucumber. I thought he was terrific all week.
Frank, you know we have to mention, too, he is one cocky dude. And he doesn't come off like it afterward. I love that. Afterward, he's a magnanimous guy. He's spreading the credit around. But during the round and before he is one cocky cat.
He's built like a linebacker.
Yes,
he's built like a linebacker.
I think that's the different thing about him, the thing that may separate him from Rory and Spieth and all these other guys who are golf confident. He's athletic confident. He's got a wedge in his hand on every par 4, it seems, for a second shot. It's an extraordinary thing. But can he win with pressure? That is still what we have to find. We got a major story going on about 8 miles from where we usually sit at the University of Maryland. Football coach DJ Durkin has been put on administrative leave after multiple former players and people close to the program say a toxic coaching culture existed at the time of offensive lineman Jordan McNair's death in June after a football workout. ESPN is reporting the 19-year-old died of a heat stroke suffered after running 110-yard sprints. Players have spoken of extreme verbal abuse and an environment based on fear and intimidation and forcing unhealthy eating. Frank, if any of this is true, doesn't DJ Durkin have to be fired?
Yeah, and right now there are allegations, but you said it, Michael. If this is true, of course, he's not going to be back as the head coach of the University of Maryland. As someone who attended the school there, so as an alum and current students all received a letter from the president of the school kind of going over, how the school feels about this whole situation. This is just disturbing. And if you want to sit there and tell me that this happens at other programs, and I'm sure it does at some level, it doesn't make it right. And to hear people come out and talk about disgruntled employees, disgruntled ex-players who transferred, what they're saying doesn't mean that it's not true. And let's remember, you talked about Jordan McNair. We have a 19-year-old person, a young man who is dead, suffering from heat stroke. And Michael, the key here is that time frame between when they thought he was struggling until the 911 call was made. To me, that's your investigation. All the other stuff, that's piled onto it. That's where the trouble is.
I thought of you, among others, friends who have some affiliation with University of Maryland, and I covered the University of Maryland. I was covering the basketball program when Len Bias died at 22 years old? The University of Maryland, I realize 1986 may seem like forever ago to some people. It was yesterday to others, including a lot of respected graduates, alums I know who say, well, no, this can't happen here. You mentioned other places where it might be able to. The history with this and the trauma that was attended to University of Maryland with Len Bias's death and the aftermath, which seemed to last more than a decade, Maryland cannot tolerate this. And if any of it's true, and it rings true, he's got to go immediately. You can't have it.
And this is like, you're trying to be, big-time football program. You're in the Big Ten where you have Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State. It's tough to compete against them. So Maryland is already starting from behind. But something like this, let's face it, Michael, and you talked about the situation with Len Bias. That set the basketball program back basically a decade.
Yes,
I got a funny feeling the same thing's going to happen to the football program here as well. All right, on to baseball now, and a dramatic once-in-a-century type of ending in Chicago. Cubs rookie David Bote belted a 2-out, 2-strike, walk-off, pinch-hit grand slam to beat the Nats. Luckily for us, lifelong Cubs fan Michael Wilbon was on assignment at Wrigley Field Sunday night for a moment he'll never forget.
That's
All
right,
Michael, take it away. What was it like?
My seats were great. Section 418, row 8, seats 1, 2, 3, and 4. Matthew, my son, 10 years old, sitting right next to me.
Yeah.
3-0 when it goes to 3-0 in the ninth. Matthew, you got camp, Northwestern basketball camp in the morning. You got a 6 a.m. wake-up call. We got to go. It's 3-0. We can't get a hit.
You left?
Dad, there could be a grand slam, right? No, we're leaving. We got to go. You got to go to bed. Dad, there could be a grand slam. We're leaving. Let's go. I'll leave you here. We left.
Matthew knows more about sports than you do. You should have stayed.
I bailed. I was being a good dad. Let me just tell you this, Frank. I can't believe I missed this or we missed this. I've never seen a walk-off grand slam. Never. And my phone starts blowing up in the car, 10 minutes later. And I'm scared to answer because I know what happened. I got like 15 calls. And I know what's going on. I'm like, the Cubs are coming back. It must be 3-3. Oh, no. Yep. And Bodie is a great story. Hamels coming in and saving the day or appearing to try to is a great story. Scherzer's a great story, too, going the other way. I thought Scherzer was going to pitch a no-no. Frank, this was a killer. But I was being a good dad, right? Huh? Following in your footsteps.
You know
Please
what?
tell me I did the right thing.
I'm going to give you an out because it was your son. Now, he's going to have a story for the rest of his life. But I keep thinking about the great Ernie Banks. Let's play two. Yeah. Michael Wilbon's motto, let's get out of here early to beat the traffic.
Let's beat the traffic.
And here's the thing, you talked about it. You know, you've never seen it before. It's only the second time in baseball history a team trailing 3-0 in the ninth won on a walk-off grand slam.
1936 or something like that. It's been a long time ago.
I just didn't leave that game early,
I'm going to blame my goddaughter, Brittany, who was also there. She didn't stop me. She could have stopped me. She was a big-time jock at Northwestern.
You did the right. You're being a good father.
Nobody stopped me.
Bad fan, good father. That's how we'll look at it.
This is a loser move, me leaving to beat the traffic. Strange story coming out of Los Angeles today where NBA veteran turned broadcaster Bruce Bowen did not have his contract renewed by the Clippers as a TV game analyst for having the audacity to criticize Kawhi Leonard 2 months ago on the radio. Bowen, who won 3 titles with the Spurs and had his jersey retired, he's that highly regarded, said essentially that Leonard was getting bad advice when he forced that trade from the Spurs. Frank, this couldn't possibly have anything to do with Kawhi saying publicly how much he wants to return home to play in Los Angeles, could it?
No, nothing to do with it. Meanwhile, Doc Rivers, Jerry West, Lawrence Frank, they believe that they have an actual chance to get Kawhi Leonard. What's funny about it is Bruce Bowen said a lot of the things that we have said and that have been written about. The difference is we don't, in theory, work for the Clippers. And this, to me, this is probably 95% of the reason why they got rid of him. And I think it's a sad commentary. I understand why they did it, though. This is the Clippers in a market where they're competing with the Lakers. The Lakers got LeBron. The Lakers are going to make a run at Kawhi. And the Clippers feel they have a chance because Kawhi doesn't want to play number 2 to LeBron.
I'm not even sure Kawhi is sophisticated enough to make the connection between Bruce Bowen, whose jersey hangs in the rafters in San Antonio, with the Clippers. There's no association except for those of us who watch a lot of late night basketball, you and I included, who know that Bruce had been doing those games. This is just a lazy move. It's a disappointing move that Kawhi Leonard, he's the first one? He's the only one to make that criticism. I know he was in the Clippers' employ. What they want to wipe the slate clean so Kawhi will come running to them and he'd say, oh, no. I can't come to you because Bruce Bowen criticized me. Come on.
Well, guess what? Tony Parker came out publicly during the season, said something about Kawhi Leonard. He's gone. And now you have Bruce Bowen, like you mentioned, his number hangs in the rafters in San Antonio. He says something on SiriusXM NBA radio. Now he's gone. It's also a lesson, too, for a lot of these broadcasters that work for teams. That's why they're always careful to comment on things involving their team, even though at the time Kawhi Leonard was still a member of the Spurs. Bruce Bowen was talking as an ex-Spur. He wasn't talking on behalf of the LA Clippers.
Fans say, we don't want homers. Really? Guys are forced to be homers by lazy, no-account moves like that.
Don't tell the truth. I think that's what they're telling you.
Coming up, what exactly is going on between Cam Newton and Kelvin Benjamin? And can it get fixed?
And would Carmelo Anthony really be okay coming off the bench for the Houston Rockets?
We don't have anybody who works for the broadcast crew suggested they may be gone too.
That's right. Be careful.
Can't get rid of Calvin Murphy, though, right? I mean, that's not that.
Each day, Justin chooses to walk. At work,
viewers or the producers or both. What a bitter old man. Let's see what's first. Frank Isola.
All right, Mike. By the way, the mailbox flew first class to Miami. I was in room 28, middle seat. Let's see what we got. Should Kelvin Benjamin be more gracious toward Cam Newton?
Why be gracious now? He wasn't gracious at all when he lit him up last week. And now they get together, a game in Buffalo, preseason game. Cam goes over and says, basically, let's just talk this out, dude. And he tries to shake his hand, and Benjamin wouldn't even put his hand out. Frank, he has his hands down at his side, anywhere, right hand down near his pockets with a glove on, doing a Michael Jackson, doesn't want to shake his hand. I think this is bad form by Benjamin, but Cam can just show him up by playing well, particularly since Kelvin Benjamin's on Buffalo.
Well, Kelvin Benjamin, first of all, called him out. I like the way that Cam Newton handled this. By the way, Benjamin, as a rookie, caught 73 passes, 1,000 yards. That's pretty good. The next season, he didn't play because of a torn ACL. They made it to the Super Bowl. They won 15 games.
Without
Cam
him.
Newton could have come out and said, guess what? If we had a better receiver, we would have won. So he could have gone back at him. So
Yeah,
I think
and
it's
he keeps up with it with Nathan Peterman stuff, saying Peterman essentially is better. Stop. What's next?
You know what? Cam gets criticized a lot. This one we have to have his back. Right? Let's see what else we got. All right. Were the Browns right to punish Antonio Callaway by playing him rather than sitting him?
For those who are not keeping up with every inch of Browns news, Antonio Callaway, one of their receivers, was busted for having some weed in the ride. And he wanted to come out of this game instead of benching him or suspending him. They put him out there until his tongue was going to hang out. And a couple times he even tried to wave himself out of the game. And they're like, no, dude, you're good. Stay right out there. I don't know how good that is, the temperature there, whether he was properly hydrated. You can get some dangerous situations, as we talked about earlier. But overall, with a grown man, I'm okay with this if the doctors are, Frank.
He played 54 snaps in a football game. He doesn't play both sides of the football. I don't have a problem with Hugh Jackson doing this. Here's a guy, a coach, who's won one of his last 32 games. And he knows that it's going to come down to winning this season. You know what? He did the right thing here, even though some people are complaining that he's, not working the veterans hard enough in practice. Well,
if Callaway's
got to win.
What's next?
Let's see what we got here. Do you think CARMELO will have a problem if Mike D'Antoni decides to bring him off the bench?
For one, I don't think that necessarily will happen. I know people think that CARMELO and D'Antoni have some deep-seated problems. They don't. D'Antoni said today, he said, look, the New York Knicks situation was a whole lot different from what we've got here in Houston with all these veterans and obviously, CP3 and James Harden. They got a team that's ready on the verge of winning. So I don't think there's going to be a problem whether he's starting or coming off the bench, Frank. But you're close to the situation. And CARMELO, what do you think?
I think the key is going to be Chris Paul. When CARMELO had Chauncey Billups in Denver, he made it to a conference finals. When he had Jason Kidd in New York, he finished third in the MVP voting. I think Chris Paul will help mend this relationship. He could be the guy to convince CARMELO there are going to be certain nights where you're going to be better coming off the bench than starting for us. By the way, Dwayne Wade did it in Miami. Manu Ginobili made a career out of doing it. There's nothing wrong with coming off the bench, especially for a team that's going to be a
Chris Paul
contender.
leading the way in this is a very instrumental person. And CARMELO even being in Houston. What's next and last?
All right. What's more impressive, Wayne Rooney's defensive play or offensive play?
We're getting to so much soccer on this show. Wayne Rooney in black, 32 years old, thought to be too old, runs down this play, playing for DC United now.
Great tackle.
Makes a great tackle. And look at this. I mean, to me, that took hustle. The skill involved still to make this pass, drop it on Muggsy Bogues' head. I'm saying that because the guy is 5'3". It's more skill involved in that pass. The precision of that, Frank, shows what Rooney, what he's been for a lot of years.
And DC United actually pulled their goalie in a tie game to try to go for the winning goal. So Wayne Rooney right there that's a tackle that saved potentially a goal. The interesting thing is the international players, these guys that have had great success playing in Europe, and they come to MLS toward the tail end of their career. The idea is, are they coming here just to hang out or to play? Wayne Rooney answered the question there with that defensive play. That was very impressive.
All right, thank you for your email. Let's take one last break, but still to come. Did Chris Sale answer his skeptics like me with yesterday's performance?
And was this a world record worth breaking? Watch out, Michael.
I'm not even sure it's a world record. Who knows? Who knows?
It's a big wave.
Everything's got a record attached to it.
It's Oscar Mayer's mission to put a better hot dog in every hand. And that's just what we do. With